Peppa Pig might seem like just another kid's cartoon, but a lot of fans believe it could actually be way weirder than anyone ever imagined. Do you think you know all the bizarre theories about the little piggy show?
So many questions.
While humans rule the earth in the real world, in Peppa Pig, it's the other animals who've taken over. Humans do exist, but there are so few of them that it really makes you wonder if we're an endangered species in that world. But what if we told you that humans are being forced by the animals to work for them like slaves? Before you say that's completely insane, the show itself hints that this might actually be true. In one episode, when the pig family visits a museum, they go through several rooms that represent different eras in history. When they get to the Stone Age, they find humans dressed up like cavemen. But humans are super rare. Could the museum really have hired an entire family of humans to play cavemen? Or is it that our species seems so rare in the Peppa Pig universe because most of us are forced to spend our days doing hard labor in these kinds of jobs, acting like zoo animals for the entertainment of others? This might have all started after some sort of war between us and all the other animals to decide who would control the planet, or something along those lines. What really matters is that in the end, the animals won and turned us into their playthings. In that case, not even the Queen would be an exception. Just like the humans in the museum episode were pretending to be cavemen, it's possible that she's just another victim of the animals, forced to pretend she's the Queen of England, just a make-believe role meant to entertain Peppa and the other characters. The pirate who shows up in some episodes is probably also an actor who has to stay in character all the time. And honestly, that would explain why the police officers never try to arrest him, even though they know he's a pirate. Everyone thinks those cops are kinda dumb, but they're just doing their jobs properly, in a way we never saw coming. Pretty mind-blowing, right? And what's even crazier is that this is just the first of 8 bizarre Peppa Pig theories you absolutely need to know. So get comfy and hop on this wild ride. You're watching another Cinewave. Did you know that we've evolved a lot before becoming who we are today? All living creatures originally came from bacteria and kept on evolving into new species, which evolved even more and turned into totally different species. Our ancestors, for example, looked a lot like monkeys. Based on that, there's a theory that says the characters in Peppa Pig are animals exactly because of evolution. If you stop to think about it, they're all better than humans and have really useful abilities. Animals like pigs and dogs have way better senses of smell than regular humans. Cats and rabbits are way more agile, bears are way stronger. We could go on for hours listing all the animals in the show and the advantages they have over us. They can do everything we do, and then some. So basically, it's like they're upgraded humans, or better yet, humans who evolved to develop the abilities of different animals. If some kind of apocalypse happened in Peppa Pig's world, that might have forced our species to evolve as much as possible just to survive. And if that's true, it means Peppa's story could be set in a far, far distant future, where society barely made it through a massive conflict. Who would have thought that a show like this could actually be a post-apocalyptic story? Daddy Pig is for sure one of the most underrated characters in the show. He's always the butt of jokes for being a bit out of shape and not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed in a bunch of situations. But one thing no one can deny is that Peppa's dad has super strength that anyone would envy, and he's shown it more than once, like when he tried to hang a picture on the wall and ended up accidentally smashing it to pieces. But without a doubt, his most impressive feat was when he jumped so hard into a muddy puddle that he literally flew up near the sun. Sure, we expect exaggerations in a kid's cartoon, but this is on another level, especially since there are actual superheroes in this universe like Super Potato. Regular civilians aren't supposed to be strong enough to fight off any bad guys on their own. So doesn't that mean Daddy Pig might be hiding a lot more than he shows his family? With all that strength, he could have been a superhero just like Super Potato back in the day. That would totally explain why he acts like a clumsy goofball. After all, even Superman does that when he pretends to be an ordinary guy named Clark Kent. So could Daddy Pig actually be the Superman of the Peppa Pig universe? If you want the show to confirm that Daddy Pig is actually Super Daddy Pig, drop a comment down below with #Daddy. Peppa Pig is a pretty childish show, even when compared to other cartoons for little kids. But maybe that's not just to grab the attention of young viewers. In fact, it might actually be a clue about the truth behind the series, that everything is happening inside Peppa's imagination. Think about it, the story is so childish that even the adults are kind of silly, even when they're supposed to be smart. Plus, the animation style and the way the characters look are super simple, almost like they were drawn by a little kid. Maybe these odd details aren't just coincidences, but rather purposeful hints that Peppa's adventures are all coming from her imagination. She could actually be an ordinary human girl living a normal life with her family. All the other characters in the show might exist too, but as humans. When Peppa plays pretend, she turns herself, her family, and the other people in her town into cartoon characters that look like different animals. Peppa and her family are probably pigs because that's her favorite animal, and the other people might have been turned into certain animals because of physical similarities, or even because of their personalities.
But that's simply not possible.
Just recently, some big news came out that's going to change the whole story of the show. Peppa's going to get a younger brother, or maybe even a younger sister. This is, without a doubt, a huge change for the show, something that's never happened before. But this announcement might also point to something much darker. Maybe Peppa already had several other siblings who, for some reason, are no longer alive. After all, pigs usually have way more babies than just 2 or 3. A pig mom can give birth to anywhere from 14 to 16 piglets at once. So it's likely that lots of other piglets were born along with Peppa and George, but if that's true, where are they? The most likely explanation is that they sadly died in some kind of accident before the show began, and it traumatized the family so much that they decided never to speak of it again. Even with the tragedy, this also means something else. If the theory is right, Mummy Pig probably won't just have one more baby next time, she'll have something like 14 piglets. Can you imagine Peppa's house totally filled with little piggies? That would be crazy. Have you ever noticed that sometimes the characters in the show make decisions that make absolutely no sense? In one episode, when a turtle gets stuck in a tree, several different people try to climb up to help and end up stuck too. Even 2 firewomen, who were supposed to be trained for this kind of thing, get stuck. Meanwhile, Susie keeps telling everyone to knock down the tree, which also makes no sense since that would hurt everyone stuck up there. These weird moments get a lot of fans thinking that maybe the characters don't always make their own choices. Sometimes there might be some kind of mysterious force controlling them just to create funny situations for us to watch. It's even more obvious in the episode about Richard Rabbit's birthday, where the adults try to climb into the ball pit to rescue their kids but end up getting stuck because they're too big. Daddy Pig sees this and says he knows he's going to try to get into the ball pit, and he also knows he's going to get stuck. He says it in this weird, almost scared tone, like he snapped out of a trance for just a second. And even so, he still tries to get into the ball pit right after, and sure enough, he gets stuck. It's like Peppa's dad realized that he has no free will, but still had to keep playing his role. Something similar happens in an episode where nearly everyone at Peppa's school suddenly starts dancing out of nowhere, like total pros, even though no one ever practiced the routine beforehand. The strangest thing about that scene is that one character didn't dance, Pedro Pony. He just stood there, watching his friends dance, looking kind of confused or embarrassed. At that moment, he probably realized just how weird the situation really was. Now, you know what wouldn't be weird at all? Hitting that subscribe button! Seriously, it's the smartest move you can make. That way, you'll always catch our latest videos about your favorite cartoons.
Hooray!
Here's a fact about Peppa Pig. No matter how many years go by and how many new episodes come out, the characters never seem to age enough for their looks to change. And what if the reason for that is because the whole story gets rewritten with every new season? Sound confusing? Let's break it down. In Peppa Pig, there have already been 6 Christmases, along with a bunch of other holidays that have come around more than once. So that means years have definitely gone by in the story, but at the same time, it's like no time has passed at all, since none of the characters are any older. But maybe this happens because Peppa Pig's timeline is like a torn up piece of fabric that's constantly being stitched back together just to make sense. So time moves forward, but then it hits a point where reality resets and time goes backwards. Almost everything that happened before still happened, the only difference is that time itself never passed. The only things that were almost certainly completely erased are the celebrations of holidays from previous years. So every time the Pig family celebrates Christmas, it's like they've totally forgotten about all the other Christmas episodes. But some other events in Peppa's life might have been wiped too. Like the episode where Peppa gets a toy from Aunt Dottie, since later on in another episode, she doesn't even seem to know who her aunt is when the character finally shows up. Pretty strange, right? Even though he doesn't get a whole lot of spotlight, Grandpa Rabbit is actually a fan favorite character, and honestly, it's totally deserved. I mean, who wouldn't love a cool old guy who builds awesome inventions? This theory is all about him, by the way. Grandpa Rabbit creates all kinds of crazy tech with ridiculous ease, so it's kinda hard to believe he used to be just a sailor. Maybe at the very start of his career? Sure, but because of his brilliant mind, a lot of people think Grandpa Rabbit actually worked as a scientist for the British government at some point, designing everything from weapons and spy gear to spacecraft. And honestly, it's not even hard to picture him doing a job like that, is it? We've got 2 really awesome videos on your screen right now, so why not click on one of them and keep having fun? Thanks for watching, and see you next time!